You know, a couple of years ago, somebody asked me the question: Do I think sports are scripted or fixed? And I couldn't answer right away. I had to really think about it. And wow, it was a tough one for me to talk about because I know professional wrestling is scripted and stuff like that. So how could you ever compare professional sports to professional wrestling? Well, over time, there's been some incidences or situations that made me really curious over the years. Like for example, Super Bowl. I can't think off the top of my head. 2006, I want to say, when the Seattle Seahawks took on the Pittsburgh Steelers in Ford Field in Detroit. Seattle was really dominant that year. And Pittsburgh barely creeped into the playoffs and barely creeped into the Super Bowl. But ironically enough, the Super Bowl was in Jerome Bettis' hometown. And I thought it was really convenient that the Pittsburgh Steelers and Jerome Bettis, who played for the Pittsburgh Steelers, won in his hometown. It's like a Cinderella fairy tale type ending for somebody. And, the NFL even acknowledged there were some questionable calls in the game. And, Seattle, they actually protested what happened. So, one has to make you wonder. Then the other thing that was really, really interesting to me, was when the Boston Celtics, faced the Los Angeles Lakers in the NBA Finals a few years back when Boston won. It's kind of funny because the previous few years, the NBA Finals, the ratings for the NBA Finals were just absolutely horrible. They were going down the drain. Nobody was interested, and nobody seemed to care. But then all of a sudden, the Boston Celtics go from worst to first in a matter of a year. I mean, that's a huge turnaround. And when Boston took on LA in those finals, ratings were the highest they had been in a long time. Nobody cared to see the Lakers versus Cavaliers or San Antonio versus the Detroit Pistons or the Lakers against the Magic. Nobody really cared. I mean, they cared that the Lakers were there, but the Eastern Conference wasn't really represented. So that's that. That kind of got me thinking because in that off season leading up to that year, the Celtics got Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett without giving up anything hardly. It was very, very, very easy for the Boston Celtics to get these two guys, and it just makes me wonder. People are probably thinking right about now, oh my God, is he suggesting that sports are scripted and predetermined? I don't think the actual results are predetermined. That would just be stupid. But I think sports can be rigged, can be fixed, and can be manipulated in a lot of ways. I mean, think about it. Each sport needs certain teams to do well every year in order for the sport to succeed. Baseball, Boston Red Sox and New York Yankees. When's the last time either of them had a losing season? Basketball, the LA Lakers. When's the last time they had a losing season? Um, Hockey, the Detroit Red Wings. When's the last time they had a losing season? Football, that's a little iffy. I mean, the Patriots draw people, the Packers draw people, the Cowboys, who you would think would win every year because they draw people and Jerry Jones is full of money. But like I said, look at it from this perspective if you think I'm crazy right about now. Sports is like a business, any other business. Certain things need to happen in order for those sports to be successful. You know, I don't doubt the integrity of some of these sports because the athletes work their butts off even though they get paid way too much. But even the NBA has been proven to be rigged and fixed based on the referee scandal. Tim Donaghy or whatever his name was. I mean, he was throwing games through the mob. And look how much trouble he got in. He can't even be a referee no more. So, I really think there are certain little things that happen that makes you question the integrity of not the athletes who play in the sports, but the people who run them. Like I said, do I think these results? Do I think the results are predetermined? No, not a chance. Not a chance. Because think about it. Do you really think a group of 30 plus owners in each sport sits around at a table and says, "Hey, I'm going to win this year. Hey, I'm going to lose this year"? No, no, because they invest too much money into their teams and their facilities and the people they pay to work in their facilities. So no, I don't think they're predetermined. Um, you know, I've also heard the theory one time that the UFC is fixed and theory and rigged and whatnot, and the matches are predetermined. Now, do I think the UFC is predetermined like WWE and TNA? Not a chance. I think so. I think some fights have been thrown. Um, in my history of watching the UFC, which dates all the way back to the beginning, there's one fight that I question more than any other as being thrown, and that was during the season one finale of the Ultimate Fighter, and the fight was between Rich Franklin and Ken Shamrock, and my whole thing with that was as Ken Shamrock threw a leg kick and paused. Like he didn't just throw a leg kick and bring his leg down. He threw his leg and paused like he was trying to get the full impact. Then all of a sudden he just falls down and loses his balance. And I watched it in slow mo and he had perfect balance too. And that's at the time Ken was past his prime, was a has been and washed up, got too many beatings from Tito Ortiz. Rich Franklin was an up and comer in the middleweight division, trying to go after Evan Tanner's middleweight title, which beating Ken Shamrock led him to winning that title against Evan. And it just the whole thing just seemed kind of fishy. So that's one instance that the UFC kind of burned me a little bit. Fortunately, they made up with it with the Horace Griffin and Stephan Bonner classic that night. That definitely wasn't scripted or fixed or manipulated. So it's like I said, sports are a business. People got to make money. Obviously, the executives make a lot of money doing their work, so it would be easy for an executive to tell a official on the field or court or you know the ice rink to say, hey, why don't you make a bad call here or there or wherever. So it's like I said, sports is just like a business, and that's really the only way I can answer. Do I think it's predetermined? No. I would like to. I would really like to think it wasn't. But you always have to question things like that because you just never know. I mean, like I said, there's been little things here and there that really, really make me wonder. Like the whole fact of the Steelers winning the Super Bowl and Jerome Bettis' last game, and the whole first meeting between Boston and LA and the new millennium. It really makes you wonder. So, um, you know, if you ever come up with anything, make sure you post a comment on my blog or on any of my networks because I would definitely like to hear your thoughts on this topic. Uh, that's all. That's all for me on if sports were scripted and rigged or manipulated and played with. So gives you something to think about. That's all for me.